Lydia Panart. I'm a Canadian artist born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm an abstract painter, very passionate, and I invite you today to visit my studio. I haven't been doing for a long time since COVID, so this is a great pleasure to have you all here. My studio is located in Alton Art Center. It's part of Caledon. I love this place. It inspires me. It's surrounded by nature, so it's a destination. I teach here, I paint here, and I have many ideas flow all the time. I have a nice visitor today that I would like to introduce. It's Joanne Peluche. Hi, Joanne.
Hello, Lydia.
Nice to
nice
see you
to
again.
See you as well.
I know. Thank you
very
for
much
visiting
for inviting me here
I
into
know.
your beautiful studio.
Joanne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Joanne Pollock. I'm an art consultant in Southern Ontario, and part of the joys of my job is to meet beautiful artists just like Lydia, to get to know what makes their heart beat in their art practice, and to understand the joy that lives on through their paintings.
Thank you, Joanne, for coming here. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. You are a gracious, beautiful artist, Lydia, so thank you. We are going to spend a little bit of time together today, and we're going to talk about your work in depth to some degree. And let's start with this painting here, Lydia. First of all, can you tell me, does the painting have a title?
Yes, the painting has a long title.
Okay.
It's called Homage to Raúl Soldi and His Duendes. And you will say, wow, who is Raúl Soldi? Raúl Soldi was a very well-known artist in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and he painted a lot of murals, and one of them is in the cupola, how do you call it? The cupola of the Colón Theater, which is the the opera house. And this painting is part of a series called Huellas. Huellas in Spanish means traces, footsteps, because I paint on huellas. I paint with different series of work. And so basically, it was a memory when I was young, and I used to go and listen to classical music or even opera. And I was in the very top floor, and as I was listening, I was looking at this mural that has a lot of figures with musicians and actors, and the duendes were the muses. So when time passes, and I remember this because it was part of the series, so everything disappears, right? So you see everything from different layers. It's a veil of time. And so it's an abstract work. So basically my feelings are there, the colors get together, and all the figures transforming in shapes that vanished. So there's a lot of techniques there that I worked on.
Let's talk about that for a moment, please. What are your techniques?
So my media is acrylic. I do sometimes mixed media, means that sometimes I could do a little bit of collage, or I use textural materials. I don't use technique randomly, not even the color. So that means it's the same as part of my architecture process when you're designing and you choose colors, because I forgot to mention that I'm an architect from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So why I put texture? Because for me it's the detachment between the entrance of the building, the facade, which is the first thing that I remember seeing. And then, of course, the center of the oval is because of the cupola, right? And as you get inside, things come from obvious to less obvious.
Right.
So I use a lot of palette knives. I love to work with layers. And then I do a lot of blendings and to smear the paint, especially when I'm talking about that with memory, some things disappeared.
For sure.
Or turn into another color, right? Or vanished.
It's obviously a beautiful memory for you.
Oh, beautiful.
This is a beautiful, beautiful painting, right? So we're going to carry on and we're going to go into look at a couple more of your paintings, and I'd like to ask you some specific questions about some of the paintings in general, but I think this is a good place to start to talk about your roots in Buenos Aires and in Argentina, and how much those roots are very well rooted within your soul. You're never going to get away from those
No.
experiences that you carry inside of you, right?
Yes, and my painting is all introspective. It's sacred for me. And don't forget that I'm an immigrant, right? So I moved to Canada in 1998, and I brought many parts from Buenos Aires culturally, and ways of living, ways of thinking. My background as an architect has an impact in my work as an artist, and all that is in my work. All my thoughts, all my reflections about life, subjects that concerns me, subjects that I'm dwelling just to find a solution. There's always hope. And the balance of forces, all that is in my work, because it also comes from South America, right? And where there's a lot of stuff going on, going on. But I'm so grateful, because all the tools learned there are the ones that I use them here in Canada, right?
Yeah, I did spy two beautiful paintings in another space just down the hallway. Can we take a little walk down and take a look at them?
I would love to show them to you.
This would be awesome. This building is so extraordinary for you to work in. I mean, you're beside a river. There's a lot of green around. It certainly gives you lots of opportunity, I would think, to be introspective.
Yes, to be introspective.
And to bring memory into your work, right? You have
Yes.
peace here.
Yes.
And beautiful moments to be introspective with your practice and go back into memory to things that are pleasant and maybe not so pleasant, but it does allow you opportunity to do that, right?
Exactly, because art doesn't have to be all. It's not about beauty. It's
Right.
about it's such an interesting tool of communication to self-expression.
It's critical, I think, to establish that soul-to-soul connection, whether it is verbal, which is a beautiful way, but you're an artist, so you choose to express through paint, right?
Yes, correct.
It's called contemplation.
Yes.
And let's talk about this piece in particular. Can you talk about your artistic approach to a painting such as this?
Well, first of all, I would like to give you a little bit of a background, Joanne. Coming from South America, we're passionate people. We are South America and Argentina specifically. So we have a big immigration of Italians, Spanish, British, a little bit of everything. So these people were hard workers who came, to build a new life, to adjust, to adapt, leaving many things behind, right? So there's a part that is melancholic, right? And that's why the creation of the tango, that's why the creation of the history of bandoneon traces the history of the tango. So in my work, you can see in every work, there's in somewhere an aspect of resilience. I'm working on that subject, although the big themes are different. And in this case, you can see that there are part elements of architecture.
Yes.
Right, the way that I design, the way I divide the space, the elements of design that I'm using, so you can interpret that as a boat or whatever. And contemplation is me standing, stepping out,
Right.
looking at what's going on, and reflecting on my own immigration here. So it looks like a boat. You don't have to. It's a structure.
That's
it
what
could
it
be.
looks like.
It would be me,
Yes.
because in every single element that I put in my painting, there's a symbolism behind. It's not quite what you see is what you get. No. So it's the structure is me or any ancestors or any person who looking at this, and if I tell this story, they might, you know, they might understand it a little bit themselves or relate to it or transfer. So there's a moment of coming down, right? And that's what you see, a descension, a moment of descension. There's a rupture, right? Yep. There's a rupture.
Yep.
And I selected the colors because it's an inwards. It's a blues to me. It's more spiritual. It's more about your soul. The colors are not bright because I'm a moment of introspective, reflection. But the beauty that in every situation of change, there's always 100 possibilities, to say a number, of change, of transformation. That's why it's a new creation. You open up, and in every single aspect, in every single portion of it, you can see openings because it's not solid. You're still permeable to receive anything that comes from the outside.
But the mood is so intense. Yeah. The mood is very dramatic. And yet you're talking about this break with the darkness into something that is going to be better, hopeful, right?
Yes, yeah, there's always hope.
Right, in this half of the painting. It's quite exquisite, Lydia. And
thank you,
the colors are powerful, my gosh.
Many layers. You see, I love to work on layers. You can see that some aspects again recede. Some portions of the painting, there's translucencies, transparencies. And so I wanted to make it rich because if we're talking about our psyche, or we're talking about whatever layers we have inside when we're dealing with something, it's not plain and simple. And I want to show that.
Wow.
It's like creating small spaces within a space.
Okay, well, you know what?
Wow.
I see a painting over there, which is just, it's like a magnet when you look at that piece. You have to go closer and see what it's all about. My gosh, the color palette is tremendous. It's unusual and it's striking. And it is, I think, like a magnet that just sucks you right into that painting. So
thank you, Joanne.
Please, please, please.
Yes, and it's true. The colors are unusual.
Oh my gosh.
It has its own mood. Again, I'm into moods, right? The title is Wandering. It's a 4x4 piece. It's a new piece, part of a series that I created recently, reflecting over. It's not about COVID itself, but it was a moment of pause that we all had. And sometimes, maybe I'm used to moments like this without not being COVID as per se, but coming from South America where there's conflict, suddenly you don't know what path to go, what's next. So, but in moments of pause, which is, we can say, darkness, periods of unknown, when you are shaken by circumstances, it could be outside, it could be inside. Sometimes we get the fear of that unknown, fear of the darkness, but the darkness is not dark. Darkness can be full of wisdom.
There is always light in darkness.
There's always light in darkness, and that's what I wanted to say. That's why when people said, "Oh, let's not talk about dark," no, but let's bring the darkness. There's no light if we don't have darkness, right? And in all my paintings, there's always a balance of forces, right? So that's why I started from a portion that is passionate. It comes from the heart. That's why I selected these colors. It's a little bit rough, right? That's why I put the texture. There's a reason, and there's a channel, there's an opening, right? An opening towards, yes, the unknown, and I change colors. And I know that it's a balance between warm and cool, but no matter what, it's another color because I'm talking more about getting into your own space and own your soul. And you have to to trust yourself and go with the flow and bring your own light. And yes, there's going to be many things that pulls you from one direction and other things that pulls you to the other one, but still go with the flow, find your own light, feel comfortable in the no, because there's knowledge, hope, and an awareness, and you learn so much about yourself. So that's the message behind this. It's rebirth in a way, right?
It is striking, and I can't imagine, and thank you, Lydia, for explaining this piece, because obviously people would be attracted to it, to the extraordinary color palette, but the understanding and your articulation of the meaning of the piece is divine.
Oh, thank you.
And you really did a great job. It is a special piece, so...
Thank you, because sometimes it's hard to put into words.
I can imagine it is.
Something that, I mean, you know that you want to create a piece based on a certain subject, but there's a lot of unconscious, subconscious elements that came into place when you're painting.
But you are a master at being able to articulate the unspoken into the spoken. Not all artists are able to do that, so I congratulate you.
Thank you, Joanne,
for doing that, because it's a very important element in your role as an artist, to be able to communicate to your viewers what they need to understand about your painting.
Yeah, so when you look at a painting, because even there are some shapes, right, that it becomes more clear in one area but not in the other ones. That means that they are taking shape from the unknown. Beautiful. So these are the stuff, the conceptual idea, how to translate into visuals a conceptual idea.
You got it. You got it. That's the beautiful part. Okay, we're going to move on, Lydia, and we're going to look at more of your work.
Yes, that would be awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.